If you're watching us live, that of course means, as it always does, that it's Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, which is always time for the High Noon Hemp Show, no matter what time zone you are in. Of course, another big show today, information, entertainment, everything about hemp that you want to know coming at you in video and audio form. The video, of course, the Temptations Beach Facebook page, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and at Temptations on Twitter. If you're looking for the audio only version, search the High Noon Hemp Show. You can do that on Podbean, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and now Spotify as well. If you have Spotify, go follow us on there and spread the word about what's going on. I am Stoner Jesus. He is Beach, high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, at the Hemp Quarters. Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Things are good. Super exciting. Things going on, I suppose. Um, but to get the regular disclaimer that I've added to the show, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy.
Yes.
I just like saying that every week, I guess. At this point. It's true. But no, I'm super excited. I have been dealing with Lancaster Trading House over in Pennsylvania for as long as just about we've been open. I think they are responsible for the hempsels, which are the hemp pretzels, um, throughout the years. And again, I got to stop by his warehouse yesterday. I was coming through Pennsylvania, pick up some product, which you'll see later. In just a moment, I should say, during the product spotlight here on the High Noon Hemp Show. I forgot to remind everyone that it is true. I am high above the Sharonville location as well in what I call Planet Everywhere Studios, bringing it to you. And if you're just listening, this is going to be a good show for you because you're not going to miss out on a whole lot of pictures during news because we don't have any. So if you're doing the podcast, you're only going to not be able to see the clothing in the product spotlight. Anyway, um, back to Sean House. Again, pioneer in the hemp foods industries. Um, and he reminded me of this, and I'm sure that it is 100% true. He has to be the longest operating hemp food business in the United States. Um, there have been some that have come and gone. Most of them do not exist anymore, and everything that's out there now that's in the United States is probably the last 5 years, I would say, if it's a hemp food company. To be honest with you, finding some that have been around longer than that would be mighty tough. Um, he produces. Um, they're frozen, but they're baked, and you just reheat them. Pretzels, as well as the hard pretzels that we've had over the years, and it reminded me how much I miss these because I like these now. But they made hemp pretzel nuggets with peanut butter in them for a while, and I can tell you, I am pretty sure that I ate as many bags of those as we ever sold when we had them on the shelves. Um, and again, this was probably like at least 10, 15 years ago that
Wow.
they were making those, way before that snack really got big. And it's pretty big now, I think. Honestly, I think peanut butter filled pretzels snacks are pretty big right now. But they had those for a while. He was representing the Mama Indica treats that were whole seed treats that we carried for a long time. Mama Indicas might still be around. I'm not even positive on that. I have to check on them. Um, but I mean, he worked with the big food people. He was doing stuff, um, you know, a long time ago, and it's great. He's got a basically like a food truck. It's a trailer, but and so they go out to the farm events, and he's got a bunch coming up now, and they vend the pretzels, and they make a like a pretzel sandwich with the hemp pretzels, and um, again, I cannot say enough about Lancaster Trading House, Sean House, and what his commitment to hemp has been as much as anyone's. There's no doubt about it as far as a hemp company goes. His commitment to hemp, is far beyond exceeds. We should all be, and I feel like I'm in the same. That's why we bonded so well. But he's was 100% in 25 years ago, and there's nothing different now. And so, I really just commend him more than anything for being the hemp warrior, the pioneer, the revolutionist that he has been in the hemp food industry in the United States. I mean, there have been very few. And again, everybody had to import their hemp. He was getting his from Canada. Uh, Everybody that has come along, probably, with a hemp food in the last 15 years, 20 years, was getting it from Canada. Um, now we have semi-local sources. I don't know that they're even still as good as what the Canadians are doing because of there's not a whole lot of a supply of American grown, United States grown, I should say. Canada's in America. Um, United States grown industrial hemp for grain food product. But there is more and more demand, and there is more and more coming. And so, and there's a huge hemp seed company in the United States now that is, you know, doing good stuff. Either way, but walking through his place was like a museum as well. Another reason why I love it is because again, he as much could charge a couple bucks just to look at all the artifacts and memorabilia that he has either made as far as products or had something to do with, or just because he was involved in the hemp world as deeply as he was, and so that was really exciting. I've been saying for a while because my brother, my dad, and my stepmom, they were all over in Connecticut, and I was driving through Pennsylvania on a semi-regular basis, and always saying to myself how much I really wanted to go and visit his place and see his stuff. And this was a great, same opportunity. Picked up some product, which we can just go ahead and jump right into, and I can talk more about Sean House and Lancaster Trading House and all the great stuff he's doing. These, and I know these were on the show once when these first were made, maybe a year or two ago. I know I put these on the show just to show that they existed. Well, we're finally going to have at least one of these in every store. um, as far as a hemp shovel it's to be clear, Forest Hill made them. It's the Hempy Scoop Shovel is what it's called. The Forest Hill Hempy Scoop Shovel. On the label it says farmer. Um, what was it? Farmer inspired, I believe, because I believe there was a local company that was making these shovels not out of hemp for farmers, and then I think that Sean educated them on hemp bioplastics or hemp composite. And they're like, well, there's no reason we can't make these out of the hemp. And there they are. You've got a 48-inch. They got a taller one for us tall people. And then I think the other one's like a 36-inch, possibly handle. So you got a long handle and a short handle. And so what a great hemp thing. God, if we could replace every plastic scoop shovel. Can you imagine snow shovels and all that? Replace all that. And of course, it's not as cheap right now. But if we could make them in mass numbers, a lot more, then they'd come down and be comparable. Of course, who knows how much a scoop shovel costs you at the store right now?
Yeah.
They might not even be expensive, comparatively speaking. Because I'm sure they come from China, so they got to be expensive right now. Either way, in the shops, in your local hardware store. So, just one of the great products that Sean House represents over there at the Lancaster Trading House. And he's, yeah, I believe he has his, and I should have had this ready, but I believe he is Lancaster Trading House or Lancaster Trading online. And I believe you can go and do his stuff. He's always trying to, I think he's really working on getting his online. He is not a 21st century guy. He's a 20th century guy. He's, he's one of those guys that would definitely. He doesn't. Only, I doubt he even knows what PayPal is. He's like, write me a check. I don't know it. I'm not doing. I don't. Most people are like, well, what is Venmo? He's like, what is PayPal? um, but I love that. I've always loved that about him. He's always been the same person that he was 25 years ago, and so he is true to his convictions. Which is a good thing. They probably do some type of credit card transactions now. I'll have to ask him actually if he takes credit cards at his food booth because I feel like you have to. There's no way not to. No matter how much you might want to do cash, nobody's carrying checks around with them to pay for their sandwich. But anyway, so there you have those. These are something I'm super excited that we're going to be able to have at least a handful of again. And these are the Freedom Flyers. I picked up really a handful for each store. We were making these for a while at Planet Everywhere, and they sold unbelievably well. It's a soft throwing frisbee. I don't want to call it a frisbee because frisbee is a trademark name, to be honest with you. It's a flying thing. We called ours high flyers. They call these Freedom Flyers, which I love. And again, I love this is hemp, pass it on. That's just a great message, period, for those. And then you got the hemp can't keep the good plant down, which is true. And again, that's how great, and they say good, it should be great plant, to be honest with you. That's how great it is, you can make it illegal in a country for 80 something years, but you can't stop it. And so that message is totally true, one way or another. And again, these great items, sold so well. We'll probably sell all these, and hopefully he'll have some left in his inventory when I talk to him next, because people love these things, no doubt about that. Good old Freedom Flyer. How about some jam? Jam on. This is the Natalie's jam. Now there used to be only maybe a couple. I think there was two originally, and now there's 4 flavors. So you got apricot, pineapple, red raspberry, and they call it hemp pepper, but those look like habaneros. And I'm eager to try the hemp pepper jam on something. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. It's maybe just I was lucky enough to get some pretzels to heat up for myself. Those are kind of tough, but we will hopefully be able to get those in the store soon. They have to be frozen. They can get warm and be frozen again because they're already cooked when we get them. So you're really just reheating them. But they're best to stay in the freezer, and he said they'd stay good forever. And so eventually we get the freezers going in the stores maybe, and get some of the heatable, because they come in all different kinds, like little nuggets and strips, and it looks like a Danish from the top, but it's a pretzel, and those are like what they you can bake and then cut in half and use for a sandwich if you want. It's just really, really good stuff. So I'm looking forward to a hemp pepper jam, hemp pretzel. Man, I'm going to come up with one of the tongue twister. Couldn't remember what I called the tongue twister. That says something about how old I may or may not be getting. I want to come up with a tongue twister there. Hemp pepper jam, hemp pretzel. How many hemp peppers can you put on a hemp pretzel? I'll work on it. One way or another. And just so everybody knows, don't run into the stores today or tomorrow for all these great products that will be in the stores by Friday afternoon. I was just super excited to show everybody what I picked up, that I didn't wait till next week's show to make sure they were in the stores. So Friday afternoons are always the best time to get the freshest. If you go to any store, probably at 3 o'clock on Friday, we'll have like the freshest inventory that you can see. We're always throwing stuff out at the stores, but Friday afternoon is the day to get to do it. If you're looking for some Hemptations shopping tips, which I feel like everyone should be,
Absolutely.
no doubt about it. And the last but not least of what I picked up was the good old Hempsel's mustard. Man, I tell you what, and it's it's described there as kind of a sweet and spicy. It's not as spicy. Actually, this is the hemp and honey. Uh, oh no, this is horseradish, right? Does it say horseradish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a kick to it, but it's not too kicky. But it's delicious. I love it. I cannot wait again to put some of this on a sandwich. We haven't had the Hempsel stuff in a while. For no other reason than I'm just lazy, I suppose, and it didn't solidify something. Um, and we'll have more products actually next week that I did not highlight that I picked up. If we don't sell them all this week, no. And so, I picked up enough stuff for 2 shows worth of product spotlights from the Lancaster Trading House. And so, yeah, super excited to get his stuff back on the shelves, get that stuff back in your guys' bellies, because hemp food is great for you and everyone else. All right, there's the 4 products from the product spotlight. Now, the one from my door is actually, once again, this is a 2 hemp product. This is my lighter holder / hemp wick holder. And now the lighter holder itself is 3D printed. The hemp wick, and now if you don't know the process with hemp wick, what you do is you light the hemp wick, and then you light whatever you want to, your pipe or whatever with that. The reason you do that, and the reason why stick matches are better than a lighter, is because of the butane. And again, I'm probably one of the worst, and I would only hope there's probably more studies to prove whether or not butane causes some type of lung cancer. But the process is light the hemp wick, then light that, so you're not breathing in the butane, which is probably healthier. Other than adding a combustible item to what you're inhaling as well. So I don't know if inhaling hemp, burning hemp, ironically, now that's burning hemp, because we sell the hemp you can burn and it's fine, which is the hemp flower. But the hemp fiber, there's probably some studies that need to be done on that too, maybe. But anyway, I have a lighter on me almost all the time. And so this is a nice little hemp lighter, 3D printed hemp composite, part of my goods. I swear, have sworn that I am going to put, possibly in book format, every single picture of hemp items that has been on the High Noon Hemp Show.
There you go.
We'll see. Put some pressure on me, folks. But thinking about it, we have almost 200 episodes in. We're almost 200 episodes in. So if you look at the product spotlight alike, and of course there's been some crossover because I ran out of products. So there's been doubles or whatnot, but that's 800 possible products. Not, of course, that's, like I said, there's been a lot of duplicates over the shows recently, even. Kind of trying to start over with stuff again that we've shown on the shows. And then as we get new stuff in, showing it. And then you have all of my items. And for the most part, I would have to say that I'm probably 1 for 1 when it comes to my items. So, I'm approaching possibly 200 personal hemp items um, that I own or have in my collection. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. This will help me show stuff that I may or may not have shown in the past too, because I will didn't know everything. But there you have it on the product spotlight here on the High Noon Hemp Show. 4 from the store, 1 from my door.
Of course, Beach has an extensive collection of hemp products. It also has an extensive collection of hemp clothing. That's what we showcase in this segment. Again, you may get tired of hearing me say it, but I do not care. The greatest segment in internet history. Yes, better than the dumb cat videos, animals falling over, things like that, people getting kicked in the groin. It's better than all of those things. Is the beachwear segment. When I ask Beach, what are you wearing, Beach?
And if you think it's the most amount of clothing that I have worn for a while, you would be correct.
Yes.
Because it is cold again, or it is cold here now. It's like, I tell you, fall is no joke. It's like we went straight from summer to fall last week, and the temperature changed appropriately. So if you are wondering, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know. I think that's a good classic head case high life hat up on the old lid there. I had to break out a hoodlam hoodie, zip up hoodie, for instance. Most of you know, if you've watched the show for a while, how much I love my hemp hoodlam. I mean, my jackets are almost all, I have a lot of hemp hoodlams. They're not all. I do mix it up, but I do have a lot of hemp hoodlam jackets. We even have some, and I'll focus on those in the winter because we still have some of those here at the store in Sharonville. Um, Underneath that is an Ono Planet Everywhere Manufacturing printed Hemp Equals Jobs t-shirt. Holding my Hemp Outfitters, Kentucky Hemp Outfitter Carpenter jeans up is my Hempies belt. You can see hanging out there. It has returned one of my Green Spring Technologies pens hanging in my pocket there. Don't go very far without one of those. Underneath it all, some Hempest briefs, and you can go to the Hempest. I think it's the Hempest.com or Hempest.com. Find them. They have a good line of hemp clothing at their website. Underneath, I got my Satori Canaleaf knee highs. I get cold easily, so I'll be breaking out my hemp long johns, my Hempest long johns here soon, probably, no doubt. And then happy to be able to break out my Wicked boots again. I don't usually wear these a whole lot in the summer. It doesn't seem like, but other than the pair that I wear on the farm, I should say. So I do wear I just don't wear them to the show, I suppose, in the summer as much because I'm in shorts and they look kind of funny with like no-show socks. But breaking those out, Wicked Boots, I need to check in with them because they're supposed to be released. And if anybody knows if Wicked Boots has released their new line, let me know. But I'll check in and see what's going on with Wicked Boots because they were supposed to be releasing a new hemp line, maybe this fall. So we'll see how they did. The world is topsy turvy, so it's really hard to say whether they got it done or not. And we can only hope that they did, one way or another. They probably did, and they're probably like still floating on some boat somewhere.
Yeah.
Not quite making their way here. I don't know if that's still an issue or not. But anyway, so there you have it. Now you know, what are you wearing, Beach? It's true. Well, we don't have a whole lot of news actually this week's kind of a slow news week, as it is, but there is some really cool news. It's always cool, I suppose. Of course, I would say that it's hemp news, so of course it's cool. But the ACS Applied Materials and Interfaces Research Team created a CB-based bioplastic material that can be used in medical implants, food wrappers, and more. This is really kind of neat because right now PLA, or polylactic acid plastic, is made from, and it is a bioplastic. It's made from corn or sugarcane. It's probably not. They probably don't call it plastic. Actually, bioplastic. Call it bioplastic. And so it's currently made from corn and sugarcane. So I would still, that would obviously still be good for medical implants or whatnot, because I would assume that would be safe for the body. What they found was is that neither CBD or CBG polyester, they call them polyesters, was cytotoxic, sorry, um, which means safe for human body, I suppose. And unlike conventional PLA, the conventional PLA, CBD polyester has antioxidant activity. Okay, now we know that hemp is, and again, this is another reason why we're seeing, I've been reporting about this for the last month or two about uh, immune fighting drugs being made from hemp. Uh, and so this is kind of on that line because hemp itself is naturally antioxidant, naturally antimicrobial, antibacterial, all the things that are good antis or antis, depending on how you want to say it, to be. So this one, it doesn't really surprise me, but it advances now uh, those medical items to an nth degree because obviously that's an issue. You're putting a foreign object in your body. um, the body tends to want to reject that. And so if you have something that you're putting in your body that's going to, help, um, keep it healthy, so to speak, well, how can that not be a benefit? I think the research was done at the University of Connecticut, and then I think that the applied materials and interfaces are going to take that study or whatnot, and then move it forward with an operating product, so to speak. So all future injectable medical implants could be made and could be, but should be made from actually CBD, which is interesting. And again, they're just taking the CBD oil and making that, and just like hemp oil, which I would think that hemp oil itself would do the same thing. And and of course, there's so much CBD out there and that CBD oil is nowhere near the price point of hemp oil. They are different, so everyone knows hemp oil is seed oil. CBD oil is obviously oil made from CBD. Um, but both of them can obviously be used to make composite. We know how much I love my hemp composite. Why, if they can both be, and again, I guess I see the CBD part because then, that too would be any leaking or leaching, or if it dissolves slowly, or however and I'm sure that I would think that they wouldn't want it. Some medical implants might want to dissolve slowly. I don't know. Um, Most I would think they would actually want to keep in there. There's a lot of medicines I see the commercials all day long on the TV, but there seems to be a lot of medicines that they're willing to just stick something in you, and that's your medicine somehow, or does what you need it to do. I know that even like with diabetes monitoring and all those things, if all those, and I'm not, bioplastics by all means, I support. I am 100% behind using corn to make a bioplastic. I'm 100% behind using sugarcane to make a bioplastic. Um, and so I'm not railing against what they may not be doing, other than again, this just shows that if they aren't antioxidant or they don't have antioxidant activity, then it's just a no-brainer to just switch every single medical implant that's made out of something that's not or doesn't have antioxidant activity. at the very least makes sense to replace. And so this is going to be kind of interesting. If I can follow this a little bit and actually see it go into fruition, I would now assume that those are going to have to go through some type of rigorous FDA
Yeah.
testing. I mean, there's just no way that, again, as hard as it is even to get the FDA to approve food or CBD in food or drinks. Um, Man, how are they gonna? I bet they move a lot faster on the bioplastic, because this could just be a beneficial product across the board for anyone that ever has to get a medical implant that would be made out of bioplastic to begin with. So it's really super exciting, um, because you know there's not just a want for hemp products. I haven't been in business for 27 years. Um, because there's a want for hemp products. There's a need, and that has always started with the food. When I gave my speeches, and even today, all the way up to today, with the new stuff that's come about, I always start with the food because the food is the most important byproduct that industrial hemp makes. Because not only is it period, it's a food product. The whole world needs food. They need food so much that in the 80s, the corporations got to take over every aspect of the food industry, from farming to all the way down to the packaging. Okay. Now we're on a different direction. A lot of people are on a different direction. Something that I read about the foods is almost 10% of the population in the United States is a vegan. And that's almost doubled probably in the last 20 years, 30 years, probably since at least in the 20s, because I feel like I remember 20 years ago seeing something where maybe only 5 to 6% of the population um, was a vegetarian even then. But it was because vegan and vegan has kind of spawned out of vegetarianism. Um, I think there's always been vegans, and there's a difference because vegans are just straight out nothing, where vegetarians have exceptions as to some animal products that they will use. And so, but to see 10% of the population is either vegetarian or vegan, that's a lot of people. And that's why there is such a huge interest in hemp food right now, because of the amount of vegetarian and vegans. And it's one of the greatest foods that a vegetarian or vegan could possibly eat. That being said, it's also one of the greatest foods that most people could benefit by eating, whether it's the lower cholesterol or the high concentration of protein, the omega essential fatty acids, with the perfect ratio, the vitamins, minerals, all the other great things that exist in the hemp seed that the human body can benefit from. And, you know, I think that, soon enough, and this is once again will be where it might make the difference. A large United States food company is going to start putting hemp seed, hopefully, in their food. And when they start doing that, then again, you see that supply advance. And there's still a demand. Well, Canada cannot keep up with the demand for hemp seed, especially organic hemp seed, because of how popular it's gaining. Every day it's gaining popularity, over the last 5 years or so. And so I saw Dr. Oz is running for a Senate seat over in Pennsylvania. Ask Dr. Oz about hemp. Because he had I think he had like I remember back in the day, I found like some recipe he had that was hemp, like way back in the day. And so anyway, the hemp food And the hemp grain industry in the United States is going to do nothing but grow. And we're seeing that we're just producing too much CBD now anyway. And so hopefully instead of CBD farmers saying I don't want to grow hemp anymore, they say, hey, well maybe we should grow hemp for grain. Even though it's totally different than growing for CBD, because growing hemp for grain is like really being a traditional farmer, where you throw the seed and every once in a while you go out on your tractor and you make sure everything's going okay, um, and that's it. CBD is walking your fields every day, checking for weeds and pests and all kinds of things. There are no, checking even the moisture. Another thing I noticed, and this has popped up on my news feed, is how the Texas hemp farmers are so upset about how they were told that hemp is drought resistant, but yet it's not being true in Texas. And the reason is because hemp for flower, the actual flower, when you're growing for the flower, is not drought resistant. Okay, but when you grow hemp for grain, or you grow hemp for fiber, it can be drought resistant. Okay, so the problem is we said that for years and years and years and years and years, which is 100% true, until the CBD industrial hemp came along. That whole farming, we call it farming, but it's more like horticulture um, than it is farming. And again, from the very beginning, and if everybody was watching my show from the very beginning, they would have seen how I, started to define the difference between grain and fiber farming and CBD farming. 180 degrees from each other. And this is one aspect of that where, unfortunately, what's true about hemp is not true about hemp, in a sense that again, when you're growing for the CBD or CBG or the flower itself, there is a lot more care in the farming of it. Um, but and so that's just another thing where you know I think that it's, I don't want to say it's not ignorance, it's not educating enough, that that transition between making hemp legal and then all of a sudden where everybody's growing for CBD was kind of crazy. And so even I, from the it took me at least a year or two to be like, well, yeah, it's different. You can't expect the same type of farming if you're going to be growing for CBD than you can for grain or fiber. Period. And I guess there's some more education there. And I'm sorry that the farmers in Texas were misled. But they should switch over to grain or fiber. They won't have to worry about it as much.
Amen.
And at this point, hopefully they will. But hope what's going to happen is then they're not going to grow hemp at all anymore, or they're going to not be happy about having to actually use water in a drought part of the world, I suppose. And I don't. California is huge. I mean, the whole West Coast is going through a drought that's been going on for like 10 years. And I think Texas is they got to be feeling some of that, I would think. Texas isn't the wettest state in the country, that's for sure. And I don't even know. I'm curious. Texas is always known for livestock and whatnot. I'm really curious as to what agricultural crops are being grown in Texas to begin with. I feel like they have kind of a weird soil and climate issue when it would come to that. But cattle fields, so I would assume that there are crop fields of something. It's big, it's huge. They should be growing something if they can. And I'd like to see them growing more hemp for grain, maybe. We'll see. Oklahoma was the number one state for searching Google for CBD. And then it's followed up by Vermont, New Mexico, Maine, and Arkansas. So I guess those are maybe the states where people are least educated on CBD and possibly desiring CBD. Um, I don't know I mean, I feel like I don't think none of those states is it illegal. I know Arkansas. I don't even think they have medical yet. Oklahoma may not have any legal cannabis either. Um, I think New Mexico does. Vermont should. Maine for sure. I think Maine might even be rec, just
Yeah.
straight legal in Maine. So it's kind of interesting how people are doing. But yeah, Oklahoma had the highest amount of searches or Google search number. I don't know. They had it broken down to some Google search number. I don't know how that works. I don't even know. I'd like to actually figure out. I don't know if you can actually. Is that information public? Like, can we go see how many people in each state have actually searched for hemp? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Look into that. Somebody figure out whether we can do that or not, and then do it. There's got to be a way, I suppose, to figure out those Google Analytic numbers. They have. I'm sure they make those public. I feel like Google's public with just about everything. Um, I'm gonna. Interesting. Okay. Well, chemical analysis has revealed that hemp biomass has nutritive quality similar to alfalfa. Now, we've been talking a lot about the hemp leaf as far as livestock feed in the last couple months or so as well, because it's a hot subject. Um, Now, what happened was is the researchers at Oregon State University found that it had no detrimental effect on the animal, and this was sheep. I didn't put what animal it was, or the quality of the meat. Was this sheep again? How did I do that? It wasn't goats because we've seen goats already. But once again, they did a chemical analysis of the biomass, which is the stuff once again that most people get rid of. There is no industrial hemp um, business industry right now that keeps the leaves and does anything with the leaves that I know of. If there is someone out there that's doing something with the leaves, I would love to know about that. Honestly, it's the one part of the plant that right now is the least used, if used at all. And so now, when they say biomass, to me, that also means the stalk and the fiber. And I don't know if that means they're chopping that up to the consistency of alfalfa and the animals are eating that, or if it's just the leaves, um, which is part of the biomass when it comes to industrial hemp. Either way, here we go proving that it's very similar to something that we already feed a lot of livestock. You know, if I was to guess, there's alfalfa probably in, um, probably goats, sheep, horses, cattle, maybe. I don't know. I would think possibly, but and so once again, this is more proofs, more studies that are proving. And again, the biggest part of the study was the fact that it again proved that it caused no adverse effects in the animal or the quality of the meat at the end. Now, I don't know that they didn't mention whether they tested or didn't test for THC or CBD or any of those things. And again, I don't know. There's not a lot. There could be some of that in the leaves or on the leaves, depending on how they were processed. If they're close to the flower of the CBD flower, then they may have some CBD on them, in them. Uh, and once again, whether that actually transfers to the meat of that animal is yet to be determined. I'm gonna go with probably not. And again, I don't believe there's enough in the leaves, whether it was THC leaves, Delta 9, or CBD or CBG. Uh, I don't believe there's a whole lot in there. And one reason why I say that is because we never smoked the leaves. And if there was in fact THC Delta 9 in the leaves, then we would be smoking the leaves now. Now, a spliff in Jamaica is actually a joint rolled with a cannabis leaf. And so um, it is used for some things, but we don't mess with it here. And again, which is interesting, there is obviously a market for cannabis leaf blunt stuff, basically. Again, that they call a whole tobacco leaf, they call it Fonto leaf in the stores for some reason. I want to say there is no tobacco that's called Fonto. Basically, what this became is just basically a generic term for tobacco leaf. And so you could go and you buy your whole tobacco leaf and you roll your own blunt out of straight tobacco leaf. So it'd be kind of fun to have fresh hemp leaves big enough. They'd have to be pretty darn big, I suppose, to really be able to do it. To be able to roll your CBD flower in, possibly. But once again, there's I mentioned this, and we'll see if anybody says hemp leaf salad right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Why not? I don't know that anybody's ever done it. I can't believe it. Out of all the hemp leaves, all the cannabis leaves in the world that have gone into the garbage bin, so to speak. Uh, I can't believe there's not a lot more growers out there not like eating hemp leaf salads a lot. But I've never really heard of it. It's not something. It's not like you talk to a grower and they're like, "Man, my hemp leaves they make the best salads." It might be something to get used to. Greens themselves don't taste that good. And of course, the whiter the green, the least amount of nutritional value it has. And it's because they've taken all the flavor out of it too. And so you want your greens to have some flavor and you want the nutritional value of that. So, I'm gonna have to start spreading the word to see if I can just try to get a fresh supply of not a whole lot, just hemp leaves, cannabis leaves. They can be any cannabis at all. I don't care. Uh, and just to throw a little salad dressing on them, or chop them up maybe and make a like kind of a slaw salad. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe try to cook it like they do spinach sometimes. I'm willing to try anything. Just to see how it tastes, what it tastes, what we can do with it, because it's so silly to waste it now. Then there should be. It's a zero waste plant. I mean, even if you pulled it up by the root, you can use every single part of the plant from the root to the top of the plant for something. But the leaves are the least amount of something that we use them for. So that's what we need to jump on. And we're on the grain industry about making sure that they don't just burn their stalks, because there's so much use in that. But the grain industry in Canada has been doing that for years. The end of the year, man, their stalk is just burnt. But that, man, you can build a house with it. You can do so many things. It's insane. And so now we're starting to see more cannabis growers, whether it's industrial hemp, THC Delta 9, realize that there are other products to be used or made from all that waste every year. And so it really is a zero waste plant. There's nothing from the root to the top that we can't use for something, guaranteed. And we know that about everything except for the leaves, maybe. And I'm sure that there are plenty of beneficial uses. We did say feed it to chickens and it makes your chickens bigger. We know that because that happened in Thailand. And so we do know we have uses for the leaves, just nobody's using it. And you couldn't do that you can't do that in You can't use the leaves as livestock feed in the United States because it's not approved for that. You could raise your own chickens on hemp leaves and give them to your friends and whatnot if you wanted, but you couldn't sell them to a market legally, so to speak, without breaking some Department of Agriculture rules at the very least, uh, one way or another. All right. Um, Here's a good human study that we can enjoy. Studies are showing significant improvement in the well being and quality of life for Parkinson's patients. This is something we kind of knew about, and this is something we knew about from the Delta 9 side of cannabis. There's one video out there of a Parkinson's, and he takes a hit of THC Delta 9, and the transformation of life is almost instantaneous and unbelievable. I mean, he goes from uncontrollable shakes to being calm. He goes from not being able to speak clearly or concisely to, speaking. And then I think he ends up taking a nap, which is something, sleeping is an issue one way or another. And of course, we know that CBD should help with that because CBD helps with the neurological um, items because we have our endocannabinoid receptor system that runs throughout our body. And so, this showed an improvement in quality of life. And then there was another study that and this study was shown on mice, that it showed a significant improvement in motor deficit exerted and protective effects on the mid-brain region of Parkinson's disease model mice. They used like mice that have Parkinson's. And that's a lot of drug studies are done. The poor mice, I know. It is what it is. But those are always almost the first trials. Is always mice studies. Okay, and so all of a sudden, then you see that it works on mice. Then you say, okay, well, if it works on mice, then there's a good chance it'll work on humans. So we jump to human studies. So it's a good jump off to turn these into human studies, because again, any company that's studying something on mice, if they do find the benefits, then their next goal is to then do human studies. All right. Well, the only thing I have left here is if you're looking for a new cozy blanket, try Rumpel. Rumpl. Rumpel. They're making a whole new line of cozy. It's called the Cozy Hemp Collection of blankets. So find them online if you're looking for a hemp blanket. I'm always looking for. Actually, I don't say I'm always looking. On occasion I look, but I do have an actual nice. I've got my hemp quilt. I've got my hemp blanket that I use like on my lap and at night and whatnot. I have hemp sheets. I actually have two hemp blankets. By I guess definition of blanket, I don't know. But again, I think that those are things that if we can replace the cotton anywhere in your bedding or just your again, I use mostly my hemp blanket that I have right now. Maybe I'll make that my product on the product spotlight next week, just to stay warm in the winter downstairs in our house, which gets cold. And we don't like that. We have a new heater in there in the room, and so it might not be as bad, but the floor gets cold too. I need a hemp carpet in that room to keep my feet semi warm. We'll see how that goes this winter. If I can find one way or another. So that's Rumpl, Rumpl. Look for them online if you need a new cozy blanket. Let's see, not a whole lot of events actually going on. October 11th and 12th, you've got the International Hemp Building Symposium over in La Capelle, Marval, France. And again, this is, I suppose if you're in Europe, this is the place you should go for construction, um, building knowledge. There's going to be great, again, ISO Hemp's going to be there. They've sold over 1 million hemp blocks for building. Afromat hotel project in Cape Town, largest hemp construction project in the world right now. They're going to be there. And then you've got the Eighth Fire Innovations from Canada. And they have a product called Davita, Devita, which are hemp blocks and panels, which I haven't really looked into, which I'm kind of intrigued to see, how they do the hemp panel. Is it hempcrete, which I believe it is. So it's probably just a panel of hempcrete that you build your frame and then you just put it in there, one way or another. October 24th, you've got the Hemp Hootenanny and Harvest Market at Allenbrook Farms in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And then in November 3rd, you have the 3rd annual Science of Hemp Conference. And this is production of pest management. And that's going to be in Lexington, Kentucky. So as we get closer to that, I'll get some more details maybe on that one. I believe that's the one that Mike Lewis is going to be at. And I can tell you, if you ever want to go listen to a hemp farmer that will tell you exactly the real deal, Mike Lewis is a preeminent person to follow, period, honestly. I don't know if you can follow him anywhere. I doubt he has a Twitter page, but he might. But he was, again, one of the original farmers in Kentucky. The state came to him and said, "We really want you to do this." It was part of the military farming. I forget what it was called, but there's a military farming initiative for ex-military to go into farming, and he was doing that. And they came to him and they said, "Hey, we'd really like you to be a part of this pilot project for industrial hemp." And, he is still a hemp farmer. 8 years. That was 2014 was the first federally recognized industrial hemp crops. And he is still doing his hemp thing. And I believe he's a professor of agriculture of some sort or another now. And so, he's a great educator and he's just a great person because he's super honest. If it ain't true, it ain't true. And he's the first one that's going to tell you. And so, I'm sure he might have been the first one to tell those Texas farmers, "Whoa, back off that drought resistant for CBD thing." But either way, there you have it, folks. Almost perfectly an hour today. We've been running about an hour recently. It's good. I like it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Now, again, I usually end the show with Ask Beach Anything. I didn't have any questions or beach thoughts, which I'm not sure why I even did that. I guess every once in a while I might have a specific thought that I want to end the show with. But normally my beach thoughts go on during the show, as you just heard, one way or another. So, again, thanks, everybody, if you're watching live. If you're watching later, we appreciate it. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See you all next week.